Interstate 51. Yeah. Interstate 51. Moonroof back, let's ride. Stars in my eyes and the whole squad high. Light in the sky, yeah, we all saw that. Interstate 51, ain't no coming back. Interstate 51, bass too loud. Windows down and we floating through clouds. Interstate 51, all night long. If they listening out there, put the song on. Friday night, in the tank on full. Whole crew deep, and the vibes so good.
I like that intro.
Yeah.
That was super sweet.
What's up, man? How's it going?
Oh, dude.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Live show. So I just want to welcome everybody.
This is so great. I'm so happy that you're doing this on YouTube because you've always been very deep into X with the spaces and everything. And I was hoping you would eventually like dig into this pretty deeply, and you've been making a big push. Your channel's been doing really well over the last week, dude, and I'm honored to be here. You're one of my best friends in the community. Thank you for having me. I really, really appreciate it.
Dude, I'm so excited. And just to get you back and have you on the stream for the first time. I had my first interview with Gene Sticko. I did my first live with Vetted. And, I consider you kind of like a co-host. You've been on with my Twitter spaces a bunch. I think I was on your podcast when you were on Total Disclosure with Ty for the very first time that I was interviewed. So it's kind of like a little full circle moment to get you on here. But we're picking up. Obviously, we had the fourth tranche. I know.
I don't know what to call it.
UFO drop. Happened, yeah. So that dropped everything. It's kind of been ramping up from here. We've got a lot going on in terms of disclosure. I think with the politicians that are going on, Eric Burleson, Luna, Burchett, I've really been leading the charge there. Grush has been pretty active recently. We're getting to about the time where, we're looking at 60 to 90 days. So we're getting into that hotspot period that we're looking at probably something happening in terms of disclosure. Everything's kind of ramping up. So just really excited to get your kind of thoughts on the landscape, and then we'll go into the the UFO drop.
Well, I think my perspective on all of this has shifted a couple different times. Like I've had a lot of different ideas as far as what could be happening, and those always remain in my head. And I think it's very similar to what a lot of other people think about. But my magnetic compass, my magnetic north, it's like, what do I really think is going on? And where I've landed now, honestly, Tyler, is this. I think that when someone uses the phrase, the government is hiding UFOs from the public, I don't think that's as accurate as I once believed it to be. I don't think it's necessarily the government, big G government, that's doing that. It's these private contractors. It's the Lockheeds. It's the Northrop Grummans. And there's little parts of the government that are tied into it that protect them, right? They're shielded by parts of the government. But I think what we're honestly seeing is what I've been talking about for a long time. I've always said, I think it might just be really simple. There's people who want it out and people who don't. And there's different reasons why people want either one of those things. And I think we're seeing, as amazing as it sounds, the public and parts of the government versus the contractors, the unacknowledged special access programs, the really, really deep buried stuff, and then other little parts of the government. It's all split up. It's not a simple black and white issue. And I think they're trying to pry open some of this, and I think they've been successful to some degree. I mean, these releases tell us something very important that's staring us all right in the face. There are files that we have never seen before that the public has not been privy to. If this issue was smoke and mirrors and there was nothing to this, then why on earth is there so much material that they have not released to the public, that they've kept secret for longer than I or you have even been alive? That tells you something. So I think, and we'll get into this too, because I think this was one of the tweets that you had saved. The most important thing that, besides this file release, that I think that's happened even in like the last 2 weeks, is when Luna was on Glenn Beck and she said there's some sort of announcement coming. That's a big statement coming from her. I mean, she's usually, if you look at her track record as far as when she says something is going to happen or we are going to do something, she has a pretty good track record, or at least they're going to try. Now, I know a lot of people, you included, probably know about that one gentleman, Mark Christopher Lee, that was saying that it was going to be on the 8th. That never made sense to me, because I'm like, well, he's going to be in Turkey. They're not going to make this type of announcement in Turkey. They're going to do it in the United States of America. Like, that's where they're going to do it. Right. He did show, I guess, prove to some degree months back, if people recall, that I believe he was in contact with Robert Bigelow, but he hung his hat on this whole 8th of July thing. And I never thought that was going to be anything that came to fruition. Luna, though, that's different. I think they're preparing to tell us something. And she said pretty plainly they're going to confirm the reality of the phenomenon. And she said there's another factor involved that the American public should be aware of. And that's what I've really been kind of contemplating. It's like, well, what could that be? But they can't make that type of announcement without something concrete to give us. And I think it should be Roswell. Like, all those people are gone, you know?
Yeah, I think it'll come in stages. It feels like the stages would be, there's life out in the universe. You know, there's life teeming out there. There has to be out there. You know, it's like confirmation, I think, that there's life out in the universe. Then the next stage to me would be something like you just said, Roswell. Like, oh, they crashed. We got the bodies. Nothing to worry about. You know, it's in the past. And then the next one is they're currently here. They're here. They're interacting with us. You know, like they're around us. We just can't control it. We don't know really what's going on. And I think that's the stage where people, they want to know about that, but that's the concern of how people will deal with that. You know, I think the reality, you know, because everybody's like, oh, you know, how will disclosure affect? And one of the clips that will go on, and I haven't talked to you about, is this pastor meeting. There's been a lot of pastors.
Yeah, I meant to post about that. I actually forgot to do it.
Yeah, well, just talking about the topic, you know, in the influence of how aliens will be perceived within religious circles, stuff like that. So I wonder, like, what do you think in terms of maybe, and then, you know, in the same interview that Luna talked about the phenomenon being confirmed, right? Like, we're going to get confirmation the phenomenon is real, which to me is just way too broad of a statement. You know, because we don't, you know, then she's referencing energy and plasmoid. And are we talking about beings, physical extraterrestrials? You know, there's just a lot of questions that would come after that. But I wanted to get your thoughts, like, on the pastor stuff, of why, because Luna mentioned that was a lie almost, and that was possible disinformation. And it did seem very strange that, like, there weren't any UFO experts, you know, you would say, I don't know, experts, but, you know, there weren't the typical names that would be presenting information like that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to maybe get your whole take on that situation.
Well, it seems like something took place, but as far as who those representatives were and all that, you know, there's a lot of different groups here. You know, I mean, it could have just been individuals that got together that are in the government that are privy to some of this, that are like that Collins elite type, where they're very much guided by their religious views on this subject. And I mean, I have no issues with anyone going to religious leaders and being like, hey, we need to talk about this. Like, it's fairly responsible, honestly. And I understand there's a lot of skepticism involved here, right? People hear these things and they're like, yeah, but where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? Where? And I have that deep in my heart too. I mean, they've done all of these file releases. I feel like we have now set the table, right? People, if they came out tomorrow and said, yes, there have been crashes and there were bodies, which would be a huge leap for them to say this.
Yeah.
I don't think people are going to lose their minds over it. But going to these religious leaders, you know, I don't even think it's always necessarily a matter of fear. I think it's just a matter of, hey, this is really important, you know, and honestly, if you really actually read the Bible and pay attention, not through the mouthpiece at your church, not through the guy that's standing up on the altar telling you what to think about that book. If you just go and read it yourself, it was always clear to me, because I was raised Catholic. You know, I'm not a practicing Catholic anymore, but it was always really clear to me. And I had conversations with the priests in my church, Father Edwin Matthias. He's still at the church over here. He's a great guy. He's from Pakistan. He's a really good dude. And I always told him privately that I thought that the Bible was very clear that God didn't just create us like this. If there is this force out there, which I have my own ideas about God, obviously, I consider God something much higher and much more complex than just how the Abrahamic religions have described God. It's something far more goosebump inducing. It's something very, very mighty, whatever it is, or he or she, whatever we want to call it.
Yeah.
The Bible is clear to me and to a lot of other people that the universe was created, or however it came to be, and that it is filled with life. And the evidence of that has been all around us. Like, take a step back for a second and look at the ancient texts, right? These ideas of beings coming down from the sky, all the stuff that you've seen on Ancient Aliens, but like in the earlier seasons when they were really like on the ball before they started, you know, running out of things to talk about, I guess, or whatever. Like it got a little rougher a little bit, right? Where do those things come from, right? Like those ideas. It's just we haven't been so receptive to it because I feel that the world was in a very tumultuous place, right? Roswell happens and they panicked. And I kind of can't blame them, right? You're in the middle of the Cold War. You're worried about Russia. Like, these are really big ideas. So if these folks are going out to these churches or whoever, you know, and having these conversations, I think it's the right thing to do. Like, if there really is truly a disclosure process at hand and they're just going step by step by step by step, and you just, if you start at 2017 and you go to now and you look at the steps that you would expect, like, we are still checking those boxes. It's just that it's painfully slow for people like you and me and probably a lot of the people that are in our chat, like Probed here and everybody else, like the people that are in the know here that are experiencers, right? Like me, like this is nothing new. But for people who have not been exposed to this information, they're taught to make fun of this for all their lives, and then all of a sudden the tune changes. Yeah, like it's not necessarily fear. It's just it's an influx of information that you have to digest. But I don't think it's always got to be about this scaring people. It's just a lot to learn and to understand. Like, the universe is much more complex and grand than you were raised to believe, and now we need to have that conversation. But I think these religious books tell us that already, and people have just misunderstood it. Truthfully, I think they've just interpreted it in a way that they tried to make it line up with whatever the status quo was at the time, and now that's changing, and they have to fill people in on that. And I think it is the right thing to do. Tell people about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting the discussion going. I guess I just, my concern would be the framing of it. I think a lot of what I've heard is this like demon
Ugh.
like aliens or demons going right to it. And it's like, whoa,
It's like, well, what
you
is
know?
a demon at that point, right? It's like a demon to me and an angel and all that. It's like these are just names for powerful entities that we just don't understand, and we apply different good and
Right.
evil to. But and I mean,
Yeah, because some guy was like, he
don't
said
have to be evil.
interdimensional. He basically equated, I remember sharing this clip, he equated interdimensional. He's like, oh, it has to be demons, if it's interdimensional. And I'm like, wait a minute, how does that, and so I think the concern, I think from a larger scale, not even on a religious framework, but more of like, bigger influencers are now having a voice. People like larger stations, I feel like, are now covering this. Politicians are now the lens in which people are gaining information and like learning about this. Like we're going to Burleson, we're going to Burchett, we're going to Luna to try and understand the phenomenon. Like that, like try to tell Jacques Vallée that 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's like, come on, man, you're skipping over me, right?
Hey,
Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, we're not going to go to the researchers who have been researching this. We're going to go to the politicians who are going into the government skiffs, being told by government people within the know what's happening, and then relaying that information to the public. And so I think what's missing there is our discovery and data collection and exploration and research, the community body into the topic. And I think that is sorely missing. And it was happening kind of at the beginning of this year, but then it kind of went back. And you're kind of seeing it a little bit in for example, with these UFO files, because you see people really dig into the files and analyze it. And I mean, every time it drops, I get excited. So I was pretty excited this morning. I did not expect it though. I was I had a space last night. We didn't even talk about it. We weren't even, kind of in the back of my mind. And then I woke up. It's kind of like when you're late, you wake up and you're like, oh no. And everybody's like posting about it.
It's always before I wake up, dude. Like, you and I are in the same time zone. So it's like every time I wake up for every one of these releases, it's always before I'm up. And I'm like, man, can they wait like a couple hours so I can at least, brush my teeth and get myself ready? Oh, also good point in the chat here from Major Mucho. Dr. Phil. That was a good one today. That actually put a smile on my face. I was like, damn, even he's talking about it.
I got the tweet loaded up. Right.
Yeah, look at this.
Dr. Phil, and I saw you posted about this too. He said, you're hearing this from me. I was granted early access to the newly released UAP documents, and one pattern jumps off the page. These objects have been showing up over nuclear facilities for 77 years. Here's the record. He goes over a bunch of cases. But the first statement, I was granted early access to the, how is Dr. Phil in the inside here?
That right there tells me that there is a coordinated effort in place. And when people hear that, and this is so important, like I hope somebody takes what I'm about to say and clips it and shares it everywhere. Please hear me out when I say this. Coordinated effort, okay? Like that doesn't necessarily mean PSYOP. If there's a plan for disclosure, you are going to see coordination and you are going to see narrative management. Same with the PSYOP though. Right? Like but that doesn't mean it has to be one. As someone who has had experiences, something is here with us. I have experienced it. Other people have experienced it. Millions of people. And now that we're able to sort of talk about it without being laughed out of the room like we used to, you're beginning to see just how many more people around you have also experienced it. So no matter what any government official says, no matter what any person on the internet says, there's a lot of us out here that know that this is real, right? So, I mean, if they're going to tell us, if they're really going to be honest and tell us even 40% of what they know, they are going to manage that and they are going to do it in steps. I made a post on an old forum called Above Top Secret back in 2014, I think it was. And I was thinking about this and I was like, if they ever do this, they're going to do it like I called it like slow motion, slow drip. I didn't invent the term, but that's like what came to mind. I always compared it to jumping into a cold pool in the summer, right? You have two options. You can either dive in and have a shock to the system, or you can go in little by little, like how I normally get into a pool when it's hot. And just kind of creep my way in until I'm comfortable. Like,
Oh, you do? I do the jump. I do a full jump. Just go.
every now and then. I might do that on vacation in about a week. I might do that. Hopefully the pool will be deep enough for me not to knock myself out. But yeah, man, something's happening here, right? Like if you just read the room and cut out all the noise and stop looking at the internet, stop looking at the post, something's happening right now. Like this,
Right.
like it really is. Like where it ends up is anybody's guess. But I mean, at this point, I am genuinely at least I'm getting the feeling that we might get what Grush was suggesting. I've been suggesting it, and I'm glad that he thought of the same thing as well. Just give us the basics here, right? Like we've been visited. We know we've been visited. We've recovered some stuff. And honestly, man, like even this might even be a little controversial. I would even be willing for them to lie and say, "Oh, we haven't really cracked almost any of this yet." Like, just start
That's what it
there.
seems like. Yeah, that's what it seems like. To be honest, is we
I
haven't
don't think they've cracked
really
much.
cracked. Yeah,
I think
because
we've
Lou
tried to
Elizondo.
replicate it.
Yeah, exactly. Because Lou Elizondo was recently on a podcast. I mean, take Lou Elizondo's word. I don't take it very highly, but it was interesting that he said about the materials that there was I think it was, I forgot what organization it was, but they tried to replicate it. The material, and it destroyed $1 million machine.
Yeah,
and
I
then
posted
they
about
said,
that. Yep.
and then they said it was going to cost $1 billion to replicate it. To actually,
I mean, it's like, come on, what is that?
Just to
like,
replicate
who made that?
it. Yeah.
Now,
So,
take into consideration too, and say what you want about him, but Jeremy Corbell's documentary, Patient 17, that's like, to me, that is probably his best documentary. The late Dr. Roger Lear, he's finding these implants, we'll call them implants, these materials inside of people's bodies, right? The gentleman that's in the documentary is a normal guy. They find this object in his leg. They even take the sample to a metallurgist, and you can literally see a physical reaction as he's like examining this, and he's just like, where did you say you got this? Was in someone's leg? And and what's interesting, it's like, it's not that all of these things are impossible to manufacture. The issue, there's two main issues. It's the ratio of elements inside of it. The isotopic ratios make absolutely no sense for anything that we normally manufacture. And if we were to try to do it, it would A, cost billions of dollars, and B, why would we be doing? There's nothing that we make that we would need to do this for. And then not only that, but people forget about this. They found evidence in some of these samples that these materials were not only built from the atom up, like just the way that it's arranged, it's so perfect, but that it was done in a zero gravity environment. Like, I don't know how you figure that out. This is something Gary Nolan had spoken to me about. It's one of the samples that he looked at. So how does that end up in somebody's leg? Like, why would that be laying on the side of the road, first of all? And what, he rode his bike over it and it entered his leg and left no scar? Like, none of it makes sense. It's weird.
yeah.
But it's real. It's all around us. It's been happening for a long time. In the UFO community, they've been screaming about this for a long time. Abductions, implants, it's part of our reality, and it's scary to some people. I know it is scary. That part is scary.
I wonder.
We have to get to.
I wonder if we're ever going to get any. I mean, mention of that in the files. Because strictly, it just doesn't seem like they're going to get down to that level of being able to confirm any of that. Of that's just too much, too deep into all of this to be able to touch on the subject like that.
I think some of this will be left up to assumption. Truthfully,
right?
Like, it's like if you reveal one thing, it'll make certain things obvious, and this might be one of those items. I mean, I honestly, I don't know how you have that conversation with the public. I don't. I really do. I don't have a good answer for that one. I've thought about that. It's like, how would you go up and tell people, like, yes, there are advanced bipedal sentient beings. We don't know if they're organic. We don't know if they're machines, but they sort of look like us. And sometimes they come down here and pluck us up and do what they do. I mean, the fact, like, there's two major routes that this could take. There's the idea that nature out in the universe will sort of create things in the most useful ways possible, so that maybe the human form, 2 arms, 2 legs, the eyes, everything, like maybe that pops up in other places in the universe because that's what nature has decided is the best form for a sentient being. Or that's not the case, and the reason they look like us isn't that they look like us, it's we look like them because they created us. Which I mean, it's one of those two. You know, that we obviously have some sort of connection to them for whatever reason. And again, when I made my video about the Greys, it's like I always told people, it's like, well, did you ever like ask yourself where that came from? Like, there was no TV show. The Grey form started popping up literally out of people's, you know, memories. Betty and Barney Hill, all these different people.
Right.
Shows, and then the Wandjina in Australia, those cave paintings, they look just like the Greys, and they called them, like, you know, earth spirits, and that they had these powers, they control nature, all these different things. And it's like, yeah, that sounds like mastery over matter, which, I mean, these beings have been known and reported to walk through walls, like all these different things, you know. It's mind-blowing.
I definitely think there's you know, something to the abduction phenomenon. I'm actually I'm probably overly skeptical than most people in the community about it. But one of the really interesting things that working on this show, Sound, Light, and Frequency, has been is seeing the timeline of media that involves aliens. So here's an example that was on this last episode, having to do with Betty and Barney Hill and Travis Walton. Is 2 weeks before 2 weeks before Travis Walton's abduction, there was a movie that came out, and this is when there was 3 channels, so you only had 3 channels to watch TV. There was a movie called I think it was a UFO something, and the UFO phenomenon or event, and that was the name of the movie, and it was on the Betty and Barney Hill abduction. And so a week later, 2 weeks later, Travis Walton has his. And, you know, you go into these type of movies or these like media things of like Communion, I think, is one example that I think people would look at as it gets put out in the sphere, and then people start having these experiences. I think it's deeper than that, just because the amount of beings that people have had experiences with. There's a free research study that has over 5,000 experiences, and there's hundreds of different beings, mantids, and you know, we'll go into that later, but a little bit later, because Eric Davis touches on the beings themselves. But I don't want to get too deep in the weeds. I know people are asking about the UFO files, so let's go ahead and just kind of run through some of these that were dropped. This is the first one that I think even was being talked about before the UFO files came out. Correct. Because NASA, let me see, NASA chief confirms agency has unexplained UFO imagery. We don't know what it is.
And they denied that for years.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like,
he
just
recently
that alone.
confirmed it. Yeah, we captured imagery, and this is what President Trump is very forward-leaning about. Based on the data, we have imagery. We don't know what it is. And that's basically what he said.
And isn't that funny, man? Like, how many times have we heard people predict how this would play out? This is one of the steps that they said they were going to do, that they were going to release materials, and it was going to start with, we don't know what it is. And I suspect that someone does know what it is. You know?
Well, I think these are the images that he was probably referencing to me, because we were specifically named. They're like the only images that were in this latest file drop. And they specifically pointed to astronauts on the Columbia that were able to capture this themselves. And this was released. So, you know, it looks like a triangular craft. It's pretty wild what this looks like. I mean, it's pretty clear. It's in low Earth orbit. They had it. They took note of it so much that they take pictures. It's all identified. So I don't know. What are you thinking on this?
It's spectacular. Because, you know, I know there's a lot of debris up there, you know, and I think like the Black Knight satellite story, there's images that people say are the Black Knight satellite that I'm like, I'm not so sure because there's just so much stuff floating up there. This looks a little different than what I normally see, though. This is a lot more symmetrical. And then you can take into consideration, too, even though it's related and unrelated, Dr. Beatriz Villarreal's work with these transient light events that got caught on these astronomical plates prior to us having satellites, all of that. So there were clearly metallic objects in Earth's low orbit for a very long time. And this sort of looks like one of those. Now, it's not round, and it seems like her data suggests that a lot of the ones that she saw were round. But yeah, this one is, I mean, it doesn't look like a piece of space debris because it's so much more symmetrical. And it's big. Yes, yeah. Whatever it is, and maybe that's a mistake, right? Like, but it seems like it's big, whatever it is. It's spectacular. It's really interesting. But it makes you wonder. It's like, well, this is two. These are two images. How many more do they have that are like this and more spectacular? And why are you sitting on them for so long? That tells me right there that something's being covered up, like just by default. Like 1996, I was 7. Where was this? You know, why weren't we shown this immediately? Got to ask those questions, right? NASA denied having material like this. We were told. Nelson even said, "Oh, we've never found anything that." But it's like, well, you don't know if it's extraterrestrial, so of course you can say, "Oh, we've never found anything extraterrestrial." It's like, well, then the better question is, have you ever found anything anomalous? Have you ever found anything that you couldn't attribute any origin to? And at that point, if you say no, you're lying. I'm looking right at it, you know. So NASA, never a straight answer. This is how they got that reputation, and I have a lot of respect for NASA. I really do. Astronauts are heroes to me. They're badasses. I'm excited about the moon. And I know some people think we never went to the moon. I'm not even having that conversation today. Or the Earth being a certain shape. We're not even going there at all. This makes me really kind of grit my teeth a little bit, man. It kind of pisses me off a little bit, truthfully. Because it's just like, well, okay, you got more of these. Then just dump them. Just grab all of them and dump them. Not the hardcore stuff, but it's like, okay, we're doing it week. But sometimes we're skipping a few weeks. The stuff that's come out has been kind of interesting, but for people like me, like you, ufologists, researchers, like
not good enough.
Out of all these drops, how many have made you go, "Oh shit"?
The next video that we'll look at initially, I think there's been a handful of things in which when I see them, I'm like, oh damn, this is interesting, like this. And then there's some cases, I think I haven't even gone through, to be honest, the written stuff. I'm going to take a day to just go through all the documents, but for the videos, and then I'll keep looking at them and like analyze them, you know, like a couple that I saw today. Initially I'm like, oh, and then I'm like, yeah. So the deeper I look, but you know, like there hasn't been anything. I think Burchett said there's going to be a holy crap moment, right? Like,
I don't think we've gotten there yet.
And Jeremy Corbell is also referenced and sort of like hinted or not even he's kind of like threatened to release.
Yeah, well, what happened with that? He didn't he say the last drop?
File drop. Yeah, so it's been 2.
And then Greer, right? I challenged Greer. I know some people
I saw that. Yeah.
Didn't necessarily receive that the way that I was hoping that they would. And that's okay. Again, like we can't all agree on everything, right? Like that doesn't mean we have to be angry with one another. My point being was that it's like Dr. Greer, who I have spoken to. I had a meeting with Greer that lasted 2 hours. Like, if you're really sitting on this, man, please, for the love of God, as someone who has experienced this, who has had his life affected by this, please, I'm begging you, send a warning shot, man. Like, just please, like something, anything. And if we hit those 60 days and nothing comes out, and nothing happens, my expectation is he's going to be like, oh, well, I got a letter from the government that says this. And then the government's going to be like, well, no one has ever contacted him. And we're just going to be right back to where we fucking started. And that's what drives me crazy.
Yeah.
You know, but if you're really sitting on this, Corbell and I trust Jeremy on that one more, just because of the work that he has done attached to some of this stuff. Like,
yeah,
I just want to know what his intentions are at this point. I'm not shitting on the guy at all. I told you, I like Jeremy for the most part. I really do. He's always been really nice to me in our interactions, and that's great. You know, we're all just trying to figure this out. But it's like, if you got something that you really think can move the needle, that you think there's minimal risk in releasing, drop it now. Drop the bomb, man. Like, let's do this.
Especially since there's been 2, you know, and they haven't showed back engineering craft or alien biologics. But this is the one that caught my attention. This is the one, I think, you first look at this one and you're like, what? And I slowed it down. So I took the clip, and the clips that I'm going to have, what I do is I kind of chop it down into the good stuff. And for this one, I slowed it down 3 times. So I'm slowing it down to 50% and then 25% speed. So you can see it's like this blanket octopus looking thing. But what Stephen Greenstreet, and not, you know, whether you like him or not, whatever, but he did point out that it's 2 different objects. So this thing up is different because it keeps going, and then this other object shoots off to the left. I thought it was one object kind of changing shape, but it's actually, I believe, 2. Yeah, I believe it's 2 objects.
It's so, I'll be honest with you, like, even looking at it slow, it's kind of hard to tell. But even if it is 2 different objects, the first object, it's like, okay, that's weird, kind of like that jellyfish amorphous, you know, and I've seen stuff like that before that didn't look like any balloon I've ever seen sold at the Dollar Tree. I'll tell you that much. Some of that stuff is kind of weird, right? Like, that second thing, though, you know what it looks like to me? It doesn't even look like it's just going across. It looks like we're at like a bit of an angle, like the azimuth is tilted just a little bit. And then, yeah, that's good. Whistling Mike just said, can you pause it right at the top?
Yeah, I got you.
That's yeah. Look at that. It does look like there. 2 objects. Yeah, right there.
Yeah, so then it goes up, and then something shoots out, but that one, the blob keeps going.
It looks like it's
and that's like a cigar shape. That thing is either going fast as hell, or it's a cigar shaped craft or something.
It looks like it's not just going across, though. It looks like it's going across and down. Like, it looks like it's going like it's like southwest, like just ever so slightly. But looking at it paused at the top, it looks like the other object released that.
Do you think it's, remember the missile, you know, that the missile that hit something? Do you think this is like something that hits another thing, or that's hit? You know what I'm saying? That's like impacted.
And it also reminds me of something else too. Not just that, but I've heard stories, and they're weird, and I only see it pop up every now and then. But I've heard a couple cases where, like, someone will see almost any shaped object, whether it's round, disc, whatever, and it zips down and goes into the ground, and vice versa. Like, they just go into the ground and just disappear, or like into the side of a mountain, gone. It reminds me of like War of the Worlds, when the beings come down in the light beam, and then the thing rises out of the ground. It's creepy. God, it's creepy. I don't know. Those objects look like they could be related.
I mean, I think to me that what I'm looking at now for that one is just something that feels like an impact or shooting through, or I think they might be interacting. And the red thing is interesting too. Here's another one. You know, initially, I think I go to, what's funny is now I just go to the prosaic first, and then I work my way into being interesting. Initially I think balloon here, but it seems like small, or I don't know the size of it, and I think that's the frustrating part.
It's very stiff too.
It ends up zooming. You know, you're zooming in some. At one point earlier in the cut, it goes. Oh, here's the thing. Here's what's interesting about this. That right there. Let me go back. There's these like camera. It's like this camera malfunction.
Yeah,
that's interesting, and I don't know what that is. If that's like
just an artifact, just a glitch,
Or
is
maybe that's the
causing
object,
it?
right? Because people have talked about that before.
Because it affects not just the object, but it affects like the center portion of the entire frame. It's very stiff, and again, it reminds me of these weird, like spiky polygonal. Like it doesn't have any like definitive shape to it. It's like it's a spiky blob, as I like to call it. And
Yeah.
you know, the other thing too, though, is like the United States military has amazing technology at its disposal. Wouldn't they know that this is a balloon? Like, has anyone really thought about that? Like,
Right.
I think they know whether when they take a video of something like this, they know what it isn't from the bat. Like, they know right then and there. Like, I feel like they have a better view on this, or like there are ways for them to figure out based on different readings that they're taking, the way the light is bouncing off of it. Like if this was just a Mylar balloon, like they know that. Like, or they can get eyes on it. You know, somebody gets a little closer in another vehicle, another aircraft, whatever. This is really stiff. Whatever, like it. There's no flow. There's nothing happening that would suggest a balloon filled with gas. I mean, it could be, but it's like, well, then if that's the case, why is it so rigid? It reminds me of the jellyfish, but like zoomed out.
Right.
It's a very similar shape to it. If you really like, I zoomed in on it on my phone and I'm like, oh man, that really looks like the jellyfish. Oh, look, Arden. Hey, good to see you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Nice. Hey, what's
Arden's,
up, everybody? And
Arden's great.
Really appreciate everybody in the chat and comment. You know, feel free to comment in there what you think about the videos. Would love to hear everybody's thoughts when we're going through these too. Here's one that, you know, again, initially I'm thinking prosaic, like right off the bat. It's kind of like, all right, this looks like just a big bird, you know, like birds. But then you start to pay attention and you're like, but it's not altering at all. It's not changing its shape.
No, those aren't birds. I don't believe those to be birds.
It's going through the
all.
clouds and kind of glowing through.
Yes.
You know, it's keeping it. I don't know, man. This
and also look,
giving it orb
right there. Rewind like 3 seconds. If you watch the middle, there's movement. You see that? It's like a realignment sort of happening. And someone made a really good point too. That based on, it was a former military guy who was commenting on Reddit, and he was like, based on what he was seeing with the cloud height and everything, he was like, this is too high for this to just be like a flock of birds, a flock of geese. He was like, you would, there's no motion. Like you would see some, even just a little bit from the flapping that goes on. Yeah. He literally said he had no idea what the hell this was.
Yeah. Cause I zoomed in too, cause you know, you're thinking, oh, birds, could at least see it, you know, it dissipate or something like that. And it would change, but it doesn't show that at all.
It's weird.
And like you were saying again, these are unresolved cases, so it's not obvious. You know, you would think, you know, and this is Arrow, so this is strictly on Arrow too. This is a case that was sent into Arrow.
That's
so
true.
Arrow had this, and they said, you know, oh yeah, bird. Wait a minute now, and this is what I put on my post. I was like, is this a boomerang UFO? But now I'm thinking it might be more of like orbs. Right? Like
it's like a group of orbs returning to home base or something. It's like they're all together going back. You know, I always wonder about that rumor that there's that weird, like, we'll call it a UFO factory that's in the ocean, and it like prints objects to spec. It was of like a 4chan thing, but what was real, I did a lot of digging on that, and there was another person that cross-referenced a ton of stuff. They have not really been able to debunk it. There's no real glaring hole in any of what they're saying. And they also mentioned a couple things militarily that really wasn't like public knowledge like that at the time when it first got posted. I could see this being like, okay, that construction facility, this automated thing, whatever it's doing, it sends these out. And then once it's done, they all like, you know, coalesce together and they just like drones would, really, right? And they just go
A
back
mothership,
to home base and get recycled for materials, because that's what I had somebody in the community tell me something very similar. That there was a belief that there is some form of facility like that, and the reason that a lot of these craft have a different morphology is because they're like one of one. They are printed to spec for use, and then some of them get broken down and those materials get recycled. They're using different parts of like the ocean sediment, the hydrogen that's in the water. They mine that for hydrogen and oxygen for different things. Like, it's fascinating. It's really fascinating.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
maybe it's all bullshit, but I don't know.
Well, I mean,
Right.
the Tic Tacs, you know, there was something underneath the water that supposedly, you know, was happening, and there were multiple Tic Tacs going on. So it does make you think like larger scale, but man, then you would think that the mothership, you know, if they would be tracking that, you know. But the one funny thing about this, not funny, it's kind of like concerning in a way, almost, is that you see these guys like lose it. You see them like they're searching, like this is their job. They're basically like monitoring this airspace, and they get this object, and then all of a sudden they're like you see that they've lost it. So they zoom out and they try and find it, and then the video ends. So there's
wild.
There's a lot of times it's kind of concerning because this object comes into the airspace. We don't know what it is. Here's another example right here. I thought this one was pretty interesting because I can't tell. Maybe you know, get your thoughts on this too. I don't know if you saw this one. This looks like a triangle shape, but then at some point it looks like it's 3 orbs as well. At one point, you know, it kind of zooms in. Let me go back to the beginning. So it locks in on the target. And it looks like a triangle shape, but it also at the same time looks like 3 orbs.
That's what I thought. No, you're on the money. I thought it was 3 tightly packed orbs, or it could be one singular object, and maybe the points of light on each corner are so bright that it's sort of diffusing everything in such a way that it
There's
looks
a point
that
right
way.
there. So there it is. So here it kind of like breaks up into
That's
like 3 or
I think it's 3 orbs, and what you're seeing right there is that they are rotating in conjunction.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Or it's one object, and again, it's just like
rotating, or it's turning.
Light situation too. It's like what I saw out on the road a couple years ago. Those 2 red orbs that I just thought they were brake lights in front of me, and when these things were moving, it was like there was like an invisible bar that connected them. So like if this one went this way, the other one did the same thing. It was like having a barbell with an invisible center. It was weird as shit. And I was like, okay, what do I do? Do I pull over? Like, you know, do I wave and go, hey, come back, I want to talk? Like, what do I do? It was so crazy. It was just so wild. And the way it disappeared, I had posted an old piece of footage. I'm trying to remember the name. Lemoore. I think it's Lemoore, California. It's this weird, again, sort of like, it almost looks like that reconnaissance drone from Star Wars, sort of, that it's kind of like a jellyfish, sort of, right?
Right.
And it's above the power lines, and then it just vanishes. Like a couple orbs get collected into it, and then it's just gone. Like there's not even an after image. And that's exactly how these 2 orbs disappeared when I saw them. It was like using Adobe Premiere and just like going in and deleting the frame. It was bizarre. And I'm like, you know, yeah, you know what? You're right, Pencil Mover 994. Yeah. I'm ready to see some aliens at this point. I mean, my God.
You need it.
Jeez, we're really like, yeah, at least we have something to talk about. I mean, there's been a couple weeks where it's just like, oh, what do we do? It's like, but I see a lot of people, they go and they post, you know, clips from old interviews and stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that, you know, because there's so much information that things get forgotten sometimes. I'm rediscovering things. Have you ever seen, I got to dig into my archive and find it, but there's a gentleman who had like an IR camera on his property, and there was like an orb floating around on his, and it had like a light in the middle. That is some of the best footage I have ever seen in my life. It is so weird. So weird. Like, I think as a matter of fact,
it's going to be tough, man. Like we've been talking about this in spaces, just because you know, I went to Contact in the Desert, and you know, there was the psionics there, and they've recently been posting these videos, and you know, the Pro Pixel Billy guy came out and
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
this is, he confirmed it's the interdimensional alien coming out of a portal, and it's like, yo, come on, right?
Billy does a good job, but I was
He
like, damn,
does,
it's like
but
that,
yeah,
man. Like you're
dude,
coming to that
no.
conclusion that quickly.
No, but the problem is we've been talking about this for like a year. I almost feel like ever since AI has gotten to a point where AI could come up with a sighting video, that their only way to be able to confirm an actual sighting with video is you have to have multi-sensor data to corroborate it. You know what I'm saying? And then you have to, not only that, but you have to be able to cancel out prosaic explanations. So there's an app.
You're talking about this, right? That I have screenshots of it. I have the footage laying around somewhere, but that's the thing he was saying.
Yeah, there it is. Yep.
Yeah. It's just it was so hard for me to tell, but I will say when I went into Photoshop and started messing around with these frames, it does look like there's
something happening,
beings or something.
So tough. Yeah.
But I can't friggin' tell. I'll have to look for that orb thing later. I got it buried somewhere. It's some guy.
Yeah.
On X that posted it, and it's from his property, and it's this, like, it looks silvery, and it comes down, and it's clearly under some sort of control. It's moving around. It is just a round ball, just kind of looking around at things, and every now and then in the middle of it there's a flash, and it has like a light ring in the middle. It is wild. I haven't seen this one that you're playing here. I have not seen this one.
Yeah, so this is pretty interesting. This is like the first one that I've seen where the thing flies by the camera. You know, usually you talk about parallax, right? Like I think that's
it's coming at you and going to your left.
Yeah, but this one's like, holy cow, it comes out of nowhere and then it shoots by the camera. Looks like some kind of triangle craft, and that thing is moving, it looks like. So it almost kind of, no, it doesn't hit the camera, but it feels pretty damn close.
It's close. But it's like, well, what the hell is that?
Was cool. Yeah, exactly. That's it. That's all you get. You know, there was a couple other seconds on either side, but that's it. And wait, let's actually, you know what? Let's zoom and see. It's like a TikTok.
You know what it reminds me of? Remember that guy? He was flying around like over Colombia or something, and there's like, it almost looked like a stingray that kind of comes at his plane, and it's like a gray matte looking thing. It looks kind of similar to that. This was interesting too.
This is the big dog. This would be a mothership to me, bro. Like, look at this freaking thing. All right, initially you're thinking balloon, but I've never seen a balloon like that. Like, what is that?
It's rigid as hell. There's nothing flapping. There's no deterioration. There's just nothing happening. I have seen balloons fly around so many times. It's like, again, go to the store and find me a balloon that looks like that, and it looks solid. And again, Astral, it's the same, the similar morphology where you have it like there's like it's stacked. And it looks like that weird reconnaissance drone from Empire Strikes Back. I'm gonna find it. Yeah. It's like, how many different
the jellyfish and stuff
have we seen that have like a very, very similar look to this? Yeah, here it is. I just found it.
All right,
like,
so
I've seen so many.
This thing is wild. And some people were posting that it's like a multi-layer drone, which is crazy. I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
I mean,
I
have not.
Yeah.
It looks like somebody took a bunch of like stalactites and just like mashed them together and was like, okay, now we have a thing. Like, it's just so
they lose
weird.
it, and then they sort of lose
they lose it.
Oh boy, this thing like zips off. That's what I want to see. I want to see like the after of what happens.
Okay, actually, I just found an image of exactly what I'm talking about from Empire Strikes Back, but it's actually the action figure version of it, so we can get like a really good look at it. This really reminds me of numerous objects,
Yeah,
right?
that's funny for real.
Like now, just
and
now,
it like
just
and it like rotates around and like sees you and then shoots you and shit.
just make it much more random, and then you have what was released today. It looks like black onyx.
No, the Corbell, the
Thingies.
jellyfish video for sure.
So
looks like
weird,
that for
man.
sure.
It's like, what the hell are these things? It's so strange.
Yeah, that's I don't know, man. That's pretty damn similar.
But it's like I've seen just like 20 different objects that don't look exactly the same, but they all remind me of that same stacked morphology with little dangly doodles or whatever hanging off the sides or the bottom, man. Like we're gonna need
It's
new
like dropping
names
stuff
for
down.
these.
Remember when I think there's been a couple cases in which UFOs like drip stuff down,
Yes, like
you know, like onto the ground. Yeah, like yeah.
100%.
So I mean, it could be a case where this stuff isn't necessarily like metal. It's just like some kind of like fluid or something.
Or it's not physical at all, and then we just think it is or whatever. Like,
have you heard this voicemail yet? I wanted not many people have heard this voicemail from Dan Aykroyd. I mean, everybody knows
and
Dan Aykroyd.
I love Dan Aykroyd, man.
Yeah,
what a legend.
So he's a big.
This.
So this is from the Sound, Light, and Frequency episode last week. Bryce Sable, after the 2017 article dropped, was in like a film, was in a movie, and so was getting blown up. His phone was getting blown up because the article dropped. Right, UFOs is like it was like fucking, where were you at? Where were you when this happened? And he gets a voicemail, and he checks the voicemail, and it's Dan Aykroyd. And so Dan Aykroyd sends his voicemail, and so I'm gonna play it really for everybody.
Yeah, front page, December 17th, New York Times, real UFOs. Pentagon unit tried to know. Ralph Blumenthal wrote it. He wrote that great piece in Vanity Fair about Barney and Betty. Do you know Ralph? He's great. Just great. You should get to know him if you don't. Don't know why Spielberg wouldn't want to produce that big time. If you've got the rights, you're very wise there. It's Aykroyd here, of course. And John Simon, how old was he? That'd be a good part for me. And then James Pease was the, you could get, I don't know, Cusack or Timberlake. He was the young Air Force officer that Betty kind of confided in. But here we are, front page, December 17th, 2017. It's just wait what's coming, man. Just wait what's coming to this planet, boy. All right, have fun, sir. Talk to you soon. You see each other again. I'll tell you about the car they made disappear in front of me. Bye.
You mean like the car that disappeared in Disclosure Day?
The car disappeared in front of me. So he's
like,
what? Just a little bit of background on that. He was referencing Bryce Sable had the rights to Benny and Barney Hill, the story of Betty and Barney Hill. And so Dan Aykroyd was trying to get into and play one of these parts. And at one point he suggests Justin Timberlake play someone. But yeah, at the end he says, I'll show you, I'll tell you about the time they made my car disappear.
What? It makes me wonder what he knows.
Dude, so I guess this is a well-known story. I wasn't aware of it, but there's a 2-minute span, and they talk about it on the show. During this car disappearing, there's this car in front of him. He is working on this set for this film or movie or something, and he recognizes this car. He gets a call from Britney Spears, right? Phone call from Britney Spears. He's talking to Britney Spears. And then he goes back in and gets fired from the job, and then goes back out, and the car disappears in front of him. I'm like, that's the craziest 2 minutes. Like, yeah,
What the? Now, does I don't, I don't want to like ruin the fun of him talking about that, but like when we say a car disappeared, are we talking about like?
He said it was just gone. Yeah, I don't know if he was looking at it and then it like just vaporized, or he turned around and it was gone. It's the type of deal.
I've never heard this story before.
Yeah.
Damn. So it's interesting. There's a word for this that a lot of people don't use, but I have a friend who uses it a lot because he's actually had a lot of experiences that he doesn't describe as being paranormal. He describes it as preternatural, where it's like something like a glitch, right? Like you shoot a basketball at a hoop and it just never comes down or something, right? Like just this weird, like, what the hell? It's like what happened to me years ago. I made a video about it on my YouTube channel where I was driving somewhere that I was completely familiar with. And I come up to the stop sign where there's a left and there's a right. But this time there was no left. It was just woods. And I'm like, and it just got really weird. There were no cars like in any of the driveways that were around me. It started raining out of nowhere when there wasn't supposed to be rain. And then like, I'm like, all right, like how is this possible? Like what is happening right now? And I'll actually say the name of the town. It was in New Egypt, New Jersey. And I'm like, okay, I gotta like get out of whatever the hell is going on here. This is really strange. So I take my GPS and I set a route to like the very center of town. There's an ice cream place called Tootie's. And I set it to go to Tootie's. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to follow this. And I'm driving. And all of a sudden, I literally watched my GPS. It flips. And I now recognize where I am. And I'm driving in the opposite direction. It was just like one of the weirdest random things that's happened.
Like missing time. Was that the missing time thing that you were talking about?
No, it wasn't missing time. It was just like it was like I was like in a parallel version of like this town. It was so weird, man.
That's
like
weird.
Tyler, I'm telling you, I was baffled. Like imagine going somewhere that like the back of your hand. Like you like autopilot mode, right? Like you could just drive blindfolded and get there. Like there's like 3 turns, man. And everything was different. And then my GPS does this weird thing. And then there's no cars in any of the driveways. And like the weather just randomly changes. Like, it's like, yes, it felt like I had gotten like sucked into like a parallel version of this town. It was so weird. And to this day, I still have absolutely no idea what that was. It was just like, I was lost somewhere that I could not possibly be lost. And then I was just unlost and watched that happen. Like it's like go drive out into the middle of nowhere, set a route to your house and start driving in the direction of your house, like a straight road. And then don't take any turns. And now your GPS flips around and you're driving in the opposite direction and you did nothing.
That's
like
wild.
How does that happen? So that's like what that reminds me of. Just glitches, like a car disappearing. I've always wanted to talk to Dad, man. Like that is so insane. That is so insane. I know he has such a deep interest in this. It's like, I wonder why he isn't a little bit more front facing in public about it. Cause I remember he did a couple like VHS tapes on this back in the day, but
he did a show. He hosted a show. I think. Yeah. It was a couple shows. Yeah.
He should really like, he should do more appearances like that, So he actually came onto the show with
no. Bryce
just
played the voicemail for the first time because he's like, because they're doing the napkin that they got from the JC guy who came to they're going to reveal the napkin, the secrets of the universe. So they've got a date. So cool. It'll be like in it's September. So yeah, the napkin with this guy who infiltrated their Dark Skies party, the premiere party, came and said he was from the Office of Naval Intelligence. I want you guys to take a deal. I want you guys to kind of push this narrative, this kind of story for the UFO topic. They didn't take it, but on the way out, he was like, well, whatever, dude, like, let me get a piece of paper. And he wrote this, it was like symbols that you would see like on the side of a UFO or something. And he said, this is the secrets of the universe, sound, light, and frequency. And then he said, put it in a safe, and 20 years from now, you'll understand it. And so they're going to reveal it. And they've gotten like analysis from people on it. So they've taken it to places and gotten some, analysis. But it will be interesting to see other people. I like when stuff gets released to the public so people can compare it. So will be
that's why
interesting
they
to see.
named the show Sound, Light, and Frequency.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
God, it's like, I wonder what it's like to be the guy that wrote on that napkin. Like,
well, they're questioning whether or not it was disinformation.
Right.
I mean, influence, because, Spielberg, they've talked to other people. I don't know if you've seen, there's a movie called, The Lawnmower Man? It's about simulation theory. Yeah, it's about simulation theory. That guy, who was a producer also in Hollywood, was offered a deal because he came out with that movie. And so the next movie, they're like, oh, we want you to frame reality in this way. So like, it's like producers that have these like forward ideas that are out are being approached by people within the government to try and like influence their narrative, their creative input, which is crazy.
And it's like, well, why? Why would you why go through any of the trouble of doing any of that unless there is something interesting to be had, right? Like, why any of the effort? It's so strange. Like, and with movies too, people have to realize, like, think about how many sets of eyes these pieces of media get put in front of. Like, there is a very specific opportunity that presents itself when you have a major motion picture that comes out, right? Like Disclosure Day. There were things that I picked up on and saw in Disclosure Day that I'm gonna have to really go back and really analyze the movie. There's a lot of stuff hidden in that. I don't think.
What did you think? I don't think I talked to you about that. What did you think about the movie? Like, what was your rating? I guess 1 out of 10, and then what your initial thoughts were.
7. Give it a 7.
Okay.
I don't think it was. I still think Close Encounters is like the greatest alien related movie that's ever been made. It's just such a beautiful film. But I really liked Disclosure Day. I didn't have any preconceived expectations or anything. It's like, yo, they made a movie. I think they're going to put some things in there for people to pay attention to. I still feel that way. These guys, they don't choose anything randomly. Like, even like where Vortex is, like, I'm going to go back and look at, like, oh, it says Vortex is here. It's like, well, why did they choose that location as where this fictional thing is, right? Like, all of these different things that happen in the film. The film did something that I wasn't expecting. And it really like tore me up. Like, I felt I was actually like really upset at the idea of, like, what if they did mistreat these, like, some of these beings, right? Like, that really like bothered me. Like, the same way that I react to like those sad puppy commercials. I know it's kind of silly, but like, it's like the same feeling where, I don't want to spoil anything, obviously, for anybody that hasn't seen the movie, but I would imagine most of you have probably seen it at this point. There's just some things in there where, like, it really made me take a step back. And I think about all the narratives. Like, there are some people that comment on some of my tweets where they're like, no, this is all evil. It's all this, it's all that. And they have their reasons for thinking that. And then I always think, like, well, we live in a universe filled with opposing forces at all times. It's like, if there's evil aliens, there's good aliens too, right? Like, just like there's good and bad people. And it just, I don't know. It like, it tugged at me in a way that I wasn't really expecting. Also, John Williams' score, it's just amazing what that guy is doing. And he's like 90. I mean, really, right. Like, as a musician, that guy he just impresses me to no end. And Spielberg, you know, he said that there's more truth than fiction in this film, and how will people will react like when they know this really is real? And damn it, there's an invisible car, right? Like like what we're talking about with the disappearing car, you know.
Right.
It feels like it
That's funny.
really does feel like whether it's a, you know, it's a fictional plot, blah blah blah, but it's based on a lot of what people have reported and experienced, and it feels like it's another stepping stone in preparing people for this information. It just does. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
even Close Encounters did that, arguably. You know, everything you see in that film came from reports, experiencers, Jacques Vallée, Hynek, like guys that really knew the subject very well. And I guess my hope is that, like, if there have been incidents where, you know, beings were captured, retrieved, or whatever, that, you know, I just hope that some level of humanity was shown, because it's like these beings are, if they're more advanced than us, then they are as sentient as us, and then some. They need to, there has to be some level of respect, right? Like,
Yeah.
It's just, so that surprised me about the movie, that it was going to make me feel that way. And it also made me realize too that, again, we really can handle this. Like, we can. Like, I'm really can. I don't bounce back and forth on that anymore. I really don't. They come out tomorrow and they just spill the beans. Like, life goes on. Like, it does. It's just that it goes on probably in the same exact way for a lot of people. And then we have more to think about, more to consider. And then for people like me, like you, like people in our chat, then that becomes a new dawn for us in the direction in which we go to asking the next set of questions, what we're going to explore. That's exciting. Like, I want to get to that point, you know, like if you have beings, let's crack this open and let's really start learning from it. You know, we're wasting a lot of time. That kills me.
No doubt. Absolutely, man. Yeah, I think for me, I wasn't big on the film, and the main reason being is I think I was just such on a hunt for the previews that I saw. I felt like I saw most of the movie, and I went in thinking, because I heard and saw posted that Spielberg didn't reveal anything from the third act. You know, he didn't anything that was in the previews wasn't from the third act. But what I found was the best footage from the film was used. You know, really, the part that I think resonated with me the most was obviously the part with like the 20 minutes at the end, the newscasting where everything's being revealed. It's just being like,
it was
wild, blasted, you know. And I think that to me was the most realistic part of it. Was like, I could see newscasters breaking down while they're giving the news of this, you know, and like intense. The impact people, you know what I'm saying? Like people like, being impacted and like here. Dealing with it. Yeah. Like dealing with that in the moment. Yeah. And, but that's what would happen. It's sort of ironic that Disclosure Day premiered when a UFO Files tranche dropped as well, because the contrast of how it would play out if the evidence was really impactful like that. You know, like there's transdimensional objects going in and out of the ocean, and there's UFOs flying out of the sky, and there's beings from Roswell that are being tortured by like that shit is, you know, like that'll tug at you. You know what I'm saying? Like that'll be like,
maybe that's part of the problem here, right? Maybe it's like, yeah, that stuff is true, and it's going to make some people gulp. I mean, if I was shown footage of that, of an advanced sentient being being treated that way, like, I think I would probably be moved to tears. I'd be like, damn it. Yeah. Like, did it have to be that way? Did it have to be that way? Right. Like, was there another, right. I know we need to learn from them. And this is like, oh my God, like what is happening here? Or like the, you know, the Virginia's case, like all of these different things. Yeah, you know, maybe it's like, it's not that they're hiding the fact that we're being visited. It's like I suspect it's some of the deeper specific details, like, oh, this person was killed because they were going to reveal this back in this year.
Right.
And this being that we recovered, we tried to clone him, and it was probably a painful process for that being. Like, yeah, that's going to upset some people, myself included, but I would be able to get over it. And it's like, we got to be moving forward then. The crimes that have been committed in the past, one of the biggest mistakes that we could ever make as a country, as a species, is hiding our past history instead of just facing it up front to learn from it, right? Like when people tear down statues and things that maybe represent things that are offensive to people now, I don't think you should destroy those things. It's like maybe you need to set them aside and put them somewhere so that we learn from our mistakes. So it's like this statue represents something that we disagree with, and that's why it's in this building. This is the building of things we shouldn't do again, right? You don't destroy it. You don't wipe it out. You face it. You know, that's how I try to apply that in a lot of different parts of my life. Like, you know, a lot of people know this about me, but I had a drug addiction problem. I've been clean for 12 years. And there were times where I didn't want to think about the things that I did, you know, made these mistakes. And a lot of them were just self-inflicted wounds. But what I learned to do is that instead of carrying all this shame and all this guilt, I faced it. I thought about it. I sat and reminisced, like, this thing that I did. And it's like, you know, now you wouldn't do that. Now you're different. And you're so much better because of that. Like, we need to do the same thing here. We need to apply that mentality here. Like, yeah. And so, you know, a lot of those people aren't around anymore, right? The people who initially covered this up, were they wrong for doing that? Truly? In the middle of the Cold War, when things were really uncertain? The hydrogen bomb program with Teller, it's just, there's a lot going on, you know? My mom can even tell you. She used to have nightmares about the Russians, like, literally coming to her house and, like, taking her out of her bed and kidnapping her, dude. Like, it really affected people back then in a way that I don't think our generation really understands. Like, the bombs were new, mostly. They hadn't been around that long. And then you find out, oh, Russia has an even stronger bomb and more bombs. And then they put the missiles in Cuba. Like, damn, it was a lot. It was really frightening. Vietnam, all of that. Like, my parents lived through some really crazy shit. And then 9/11, you know, years later.
Right.
But we got to learn. We got to learn from these things. And this is so important. Life, aside from human beings, that is as intelligent or more intelligent, that may not be from our neck of the woods. Like, let's just come on, really. You want to hide the anti-gravity and whatever. I get it. Like, there's actors on this planet that are scary and you don't want them to have that. But eventually, we're all going to have it. Just like we were the only ones that had the nuclear bomb at one point. I just watched Oppenheimer again the other day. I really liked that time period.
Yeah.
I find the Manhattan Project fascinating. Well, you know, we got the atomic bomb. And at the time, it was the mightiest weapon on the planet. We saw its power. And then Russia gets it, right? And then all these other countries get it. We're still here. We haven't blown ourselves up. We're actually still here, even though we thought we were going to have that happen so many times. And yes, the world's a dangerous place and everything. But at the same time, I still think that even like Kim Jong-un and Putin and the people that we would consider not the best leaders on this planet, they still recognize, though, that there is at least a level of responsibility to be had, where it's like, if you use those weapons, if you use these types of weapons on this planet, you're not going to have anything to rule over. If you want to, you know, recreate the Soviet Union or whatever, it's like, really, you want the Soviet nuclear wasteland? Is that really what you want? Like, it's like, how many people in power really just want to blow up the world? Because it doesn't really make sense, right? Because it's like, you live there too. So I think the same can be said about these technologies. And if we're ever going to get anywhere with them where people could actually benefit from it, it has to be open source, man. Like the smartest people are not on these projects, right? Like they're just not.
Right.
Maybe some of them, people we don't know about, but it's going to
even
come
the
to
legacy,
a point where we will all have it.
even the legacy program. I think, you know, we're looking at people involved in the legacy program, and you know, are the best scientists, and you know, we haven't had anybody that's come out as a scientist, you know, more engineering, and Eric Davis, Hal Puthoff, but no people that I think are considered the top of their field. I think that's a frustrating part as well.
Yeah, it is.
All right, I want to are you good for about like 40 more minutes? Are we good to go to 10, Tom? Are you good?
Let's roll, dude.
All right, cool.
Whatever you
All
want to
right,
do, man.
yeah, I want to play this David Grush thing between Jesse Michaels and Michael Shermer. I'm going to I'm going to let it play for about 2 minutes. I might take a little bit of a break just behind the scenes here, but I'll let it play, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit about it.
Sounds good.
I was thinking of the David Grush case because people have been bringing him up a lot lately.
Yeah. Yeah, you said David Grush is.
No, I
said Codswallop. You said
no. Did I use that?
Yeah.
I deleted it. I used it a couple of times. I deleted him. I mean, you know, you just X.
You said he's a top 10 all-time bullshitter.
Oh yes, that's right. The bullshitter.
Bunkum, Blather, Codswallop.
Yes, Codswallop.
I find David Grush to be incredibly smart and.
I do too. Yes, but his stories.
So you take those back.
Enough of the stories.
But they're not stories. I'll give you an example with Grush.
But but one thing.
Yes.
He says he's never seen anything himself.
He actually doesn't say that. He said in his original testimony, because you have to clear certain things that you say, everything that you say for somebody in his position through DOPSR, which is the pre-publication review for the Defense Department.
Yes.
And
you mean in the congressional hearing?
Yeah. Yes. And he didn't clear one of these things. And I think he did later, that he actually does have firsthand experience with this stuff.
I'm not aware of that.
He also gave hundreds of pages to the intelligence community inspector general, who called his claims urgent and credible.
100%.
So why are you calling him an all-time bullshitter when the intelligence community inspector general
because they're just stories.
says he's legit?
Okay,
but they don't
just
like
stories,
that.
right?
The intelligence community
Just
inspector
like the
general
women
doesn't
that
think
accuse you of sexual harassment, right? Those are just stories
but
too.
clearly it's too classified to let out.
Okay,
There's a reason that it's
Jesse,
sensitive.
aren't you frustrated hearing these people going, I talked to somebody who saw the bodies interact with them. I talked to somebody who went inside the spaceship.
Can I give you an example
Can
of
you
a
show
thing?
It to us? No, we can't. Come on.
Fuck
yeah,
Michael
but think about it. He's this guy who's
Fuck
obviously
you,
operated in
Shermer.
sensitive areas. He's handled the presidential brief, but he knows that
I hope he hears it and
doesn't
sees
have
it.
an understanding
Fuck
of
him.
all of the equities when it comes to the kind of American situation. He doesn't want to go full
I
Ed
don't like saying
Snowden.
things
Ed
like
Snowden
that,
did a
but,
lot of
yeah.
amazing things as far as showing overreach on the part of the NSA when it came to PRISM and Bull Run and all, harvesting consumer data. But he also, compromised a lot of Americans' lives abroad.
Yes.
So Grush is making this explicit decision to not do that and to go as far as he can and to try to push the president to make, do all sorts of executive actions around this stuff and to make speeches around it and to make it clear, from the top
Jesse
down.
is a smart guy.
That was his
Say what you want
strategy. What's wrong with that strategy?
Show or whatever. He's
Okay.
a smart guy.
Come on.
Okay,
But again, Jesse, I watch all this stuff.
It's just
like
stories.
interview after interview after interview. I can't show you, can't tell you, can't.
Then don't watch it.
Can I give you an example of something?
that annoys you so badly.
Like, damn it, show us.
Well, I'll give you an example of
Well, yeah,
something
I
that
get
he
that too,
explicitly
but
did say and
they're
coming
the
out. He talked about a
bullshitters.
1933 Magenta, Italy
Yes,
crash.
right. News Nation itself went to the Vatican and checked in the Vatican files, said we couldn't find anything.
Well, guess what? 1933 Magenta, Italy. I spoke to a man at the end of his life.
Means it
His
doesn't
name is
exist.
Harold Malmgren, who said that he was briefed by the number 2 in the CIA, Richard Bissell, who founded Area 51. And Richard Bissell told him about the Magenta crash in 1933. Yeah, what else did Richard Bissell tell you?
He said this didn't start last week. This has been going on. He mentioned that in 1933 Magenta.
He did.
Yes.
Richard Bissell mentioned the 1933 Magenta crash.
Yes.
That's amazing. So all of a sudden you're spanning generations. Now let's go continents. So you mentioned the Vatican thing. I tracked down Marconi's grandson, Marconi being the inventor of the radio.
Yes.
And
Amazing.
I met his grandson because Marconi was supposedly part of this RS-33 cabinet, this special research group under Mussolini that was dedicated to studying UFOs. And I wanted to see if this was actually a real historical artifact this group was real or if this was all BS.
Okay.
Marconi's grandson said that he knew through the family, not through any sort of circular reporting BS, he did zero collusion with David Grush, that his father was part of RS-33, the special research group under Mussolini studying UFOs.
In 1933, the Italian government set up this group, a secret research 33 cabinet, where Marconi was the chair, was the president, and Enrico Fermi was the vice president, and they made some searches and studies on this phenomenon.
So then you have to come.
Your mic's off. I think.
Served them, bro.
Yeah, he did. And while you were gone, I'm not going to lie, I may have had a couple choice words for Shermer, but because I rarely do.
Oh,
that.
yeah. I heard it. It's all good.
I don't like him, man. I have my reasons. Now, if I ever had a conversation with him, though, I would handle it the same way that Jesse did, right? Like, he's probably saying, fuck Tom, too, right? Whatever. No, Jesse really, presented, unbiased, man, as let's say I'm not even a UFO-centric individual. He won that. Like really he did. And for Shermer to call Grush an all-time bullshitter, just like Jesse says, ignores the process and the situation that Grush is in. Like, Grush is when I think of UFO whistleblowers, Grush is the first person that comes to my mind. I mean, I might be friends with Jason Sands and there's a few others that I may or may not know behind the scenes, but Grush is the guy. Like,
right.
If anybody's got as far as people who have an incredible memory like Jesse, it's Grush. I mean, Grush is such an intelligent guy. So you got to think about that too. Do you really think Grush is being duped? Because he seems really confident, man. And he can only say certain things. Like, I feel like if Grush, if these NDAs were just wiped out, we would probably find out that Grush was probably a little bit deeper in this than people realize. Probably because he's just simply not allowed to even mention anything remotely close to it. Like, he could have put his hand on a craft for all we know, and he has to lie. He has to lie about it right now until he's given proper authorization to say anything about it. Like, that's going to happen. But that's the world we're living in, unfortunately.
Yeah. I liked the episode. I liked that Jesse had him on to have the discussion at all.
Yeah, I appreciate
I think
that.
to be able, especially where, someone like Matt Ford, who's been talking mad shit, dude.
Hella shit. He went off on him, dude.
And even still, Shermer's like, I'll come on your show. And to me,
I
that's what I'm saying. I welcome those debates because I feel like if you are in the position to where you are arguing that side of it, you would welcome those discussions, whether it's versus Mick West or Michael Shermer, because you have those are considered the top skeptics, whether you like them or not. That's the fate. Like, the guy has a magazine called Skeptic Magazine. He's being paid he's being paid in speaking events to talk about skepticism on these exact topics. So for people, for our best minds not to be willing enough to step up and publicly debate these guys is a little bit disappointing. So it's refreshing to see Jesse, who I feel like is one of the most knowledgeable and sharpest people in the field. So for him to host him, and then to kind of, it wasn't anything that was like, fuck, because stuff can get personal, as we see with this stuff can get disrespectful. But I think for them to keep it respectful and kind of keep it still lighthearted, and then to kind of joke and go back and forth on things, but still keep it. But here's the pattern that I saw was, Shermer seemed to have a lot of the go-to stuff, which skeptics would make the argument for, which, unfortunately, because of lack of evidence, you can't argue against it. So it was a lot of coming to the consensus of you're not wrong and I'm not wrong, right? We're both not wrong, but there's something there. And I think a lot of it was a pattern of Shermer where he would scoff at it in the beginning, and then he'd in a roundabout way, then he'd come back to be like, well, yeah, there's actually something there, so he'd like kind of like be like, there's no, like that's bullshit, and then Jesse would kind of walk him through his research on why he should there, like you can't say that there's nothing there.
Like
So it was
it's not factually correct.
Right.
And
so I think it was a good
Shermer's
process. Yeah, it was a good
No, it's
process.
good.
I think, hopefully it inspires. Were you I don't know if you listened, did you see that I did this like UFO debate thing on Twitter?
Yeah, I did. So like that was like in the middle of my funk, but I had caught wind of it. I definitely caught wind of it. So
it went really
I would
well,
have participated if I wasn't
dude, we need you. Like, I think that to me is like the future, because we're already getting people interested that, you don't necessarily go up against someone with the opposite view. So you would just go at a different perspective on the topic, and sort of whoever, can explain their position
not
better.
necessarily
I think
believer, non-believer, but like it'd be cool to have like, okay, I lean in the direction of there being a multifaceted situation, very much including interdimensional, and maybe have a conversation with someone who is strict extraterrestrial, or like they think it's strict crypto-terrestrial, right? There's a lot that can be learned in that situation. Whereas, like, I mean, it's tough because it's like I think all of those things are probably going on to some degree.
Well, I mean,
right?
listen to the 4 names that I think are already involved in the next one. Patrick from Vetted, the returning champ Desmo, who's from NASA, works with NASA. Who I'm gonna do a live stream soon with Desmo. He's my boy, and Ashton Forbes is gonna do.
Ashton always,
you know what I'm saying, dude? Right? Average paranormal Chris is getting in.
Is that a cat? I don't mean to interrupt you, but is that a cat behind you?
Probably. Yeah.
Kitty. I love pets on streams, man. This is like, what's your cat's name?
I got their brother and sister. It's Luna and Cosmo.
Love it. Cats are so great, man. There's cats that exist in
they're on my germ machine
that I like just randomly see. I'll just be like, so, like they're just, I don't even know whose cats they are, but they just come around. As far as that type of debate situation, like that's not, it's like a really, it almost needs like a different word too. It's not even just like a debate. Right. It's like, it's a really good exchange of ideas at that point, right? But when you form it like that, and it's in that particular setting, it's good. And man, I'll tell you what, like I'm always willing to have like a conversation with anyone, a debate, whatever it is, until they start acting like a major prick, right? Then it's like I don't really, I wouldn't want to have like an hour-long screaming match with somebody. Like it's never been my thing, right? And I stress that to people a lot. It's like we're all the same thing. We're all human. We all want to know what's going on. Some of us have had really weird things happen to us. We just want answers. That's it. So it's like, why are we getting mad about that?
Oh no, dude! And shout out to Probed. Probed was in here. Probed.space.
Love Probed.
Yeah, dude. He made this website to go along with it, and so it would be a website that you use. So it had the brackets of everybody who was competing against it. So all the 8 people and who they were going against, but it would select the random topic that you would debate live there. Cool. So each person would have 5 minutes to debate a topic, and then 2 minutes rebuttal, and then the community would be able to vote live on the website. So you would pick who the winner was, and you can see and then the winner moved on. So if you honestly, you wouldn't even have time to get into this argument, or like, because you would have to make your point, because people were deciding, do you know Ocean was in there. She was the props. Shout out to Ocean. So she was like, I'm going to use ChatGPT, and so I'm like, she's like, is there anything wrong with doing research? I'm like, no, not at all. But then you can see the second time she had to go first, and then she couldn't do the so she's like, she couldn't, so it kind of like you had to adjust a little bit, and people, we're kind of like coming up with their ideas. And you know what's interesting is not everybody used their 5 minutes. A lot of people just used a couple of minutes to try and explain. But it was cool to see like everybody's perspective, and then the community voted. So there was over, you know, I think 250 votes in the final round. It was UFO intros versus Desmo in the final round. So that was cool to see.
Kimball got all the way to the
Yeah.
flag. Good for Kimball, man. That's my guy. Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. Wow.
That's
wow.
funny.
That's so cool. Honestly, if I'm in a situation like that, I'm not having anything open browser wise. I'm just going to go right off of what I know and what I feel when I hear an idea. And I'm not saying hey, look, there's nothing wrong with utilizing tools around you in that little time span, because you still have to know what questions that you should be asking, but you might not have like, oh, that specific date or whatever off the top of your head. That's totally cool. But I would probably try to go all natural in that situation and just see how well I could do, right? You know, and Desmo is here. What up, Desmo?
Yeah, what's
It's
up,
so
dude?
cool. That is so cool. You know what? One of the good things is that we have someone like you in the community who comes up with really good ideas for stuff like this too, right? Like I consider myself an idea guy too, like concepts and, you know, coming up with what this project is going to be or this, and it's always too big for my brain, but you are good, really good at coming up with an event and then organizing the event. People gravitate towards you for that. You got that. You know what I mean? You can't teach that. That's just something you do. And I mean, my God, dude, you and I became, I don't think people realize this. You and I became friends in the community when I had like 200 followers. Like,
Yeah, bro. I remember.
and I'm working on almost 40 grand now, which is like, I never thought that was going to happen. I thought I was going to like peak at like 10 and that I would just,
Well, you know what?
you know,
To be
whenever.
honest, man, I think one of the things that I would love to see more is your long form content, man. I, you know what I'm saying? Like these videos that you make and you go through these deeper ideas, you know, within the topic that I think people are really, really needing to get an understanding on. And that's what I, you know, when I forgot, I was like, oh man, I love this guy's channel. You know, I think that's what, when I started looking at your long form content and then your ideas that you were coming out with,
Well,
were fantastic.
there may or may not be a scratch to your itch very, 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 very soon. So I'll tell you, I'll say this too. So like there were a couple things I was working on, and I'm ADD, man. It just is what it is. Like I bounce back and forth between different projects in a single night.
Right.
Like when this is
Oh,
over,
hell yeah.
I'm hopping into my friend's Discord server, and I'm going to be just fiddling around with synthesizers on FL Studio. But then on my other
Nice.
screen, I'm going to have GPT like looking into something for me. Like my brain just moves and moves and moves, and I can't help it.
Right.
And so I'm in the middle of like, I was in the middle of doing the second installation of my Grays series. And then there were all these like really crazy updates with like image generation and things. So I paused and I was like, I have a very specific vision for what I really, really want this to look like. It's like, this was supposed to be out such a long time ago. But then I thought to myself, no, it wasn't supposed to be out a while ago. It's supposed to be out when I know it's right. And now I like, this is not going, it's going to look very different than the first one. It's still going to be that the same. It's me, you know, it's still going to be that Cortex Zero Tom video, but
Yeah.
it's just going to be way more visually striking. And it is also going to be filled with music that I made. So it's like, it's
Hell
a
yeah.
lot, you know, it's a one man thing. But yeah, it's really ironic because I was at work earlier today and I'm like, yeah, I want to do these weekly videos where if they're, you know, covering some of the news and stuff, even if it's like a 5-minute thing, just pop on camera, boom, give a take, whatever, give people something to watch, get myself back into the groove, just go on the camera, I can just go right into StreamYard, pull up my screen and be like, all right, I was reading this tweet today and I'll tell you how I feel about this, whatever it might be. But then it hit me and I'm like, but what do people really, really like? Because those are good. People like that. People seem to like to hear my ideas, and that means the world to me. But they really, I know those longer form videos were really good. So what I decided to do is like the Grays thing, I'm always going to be working on until that's done. And once that's done, it's out. But I went into a randomizer and took all these project ideas, and I was just like, I am no longer going to sit here and think about what I'm doing. Here are all these things that could work. Randomize, go, and it spit one of those out. And you guys will know when it's done, once that's out. But yeah, I'm gonna start getting back into the groove, because now the AI video generation, I mean, I have, between Midjourney and some of the other ones, I have like thousands and thousands and thousands of credits. I like was saving and saving and saving and saving and really learning. I took a lot more time to really understand like how to manipulate all of this. And there's this thing that I'm making too, and it's not even like a long form video. It's just sort of like if Disclosure was a movie and it needed a trailer, right? Like there's some stuff in that I have not seen anyone do before. So hopefully it'll inspire some ideas in some other people. But I appreciate that, man, a lot, because I got to get back to just really like just loving what I'm doing, because I was losing that for a little bit. It started feeling more like work, and then I got into some weird like funk. I don't know where it came from, but it's gone now. I feel a lot better. I don't know if it was related to what happened to me a few weeks ago, but it was even it was going on before that though, so it might not even be related. But I just felt like crap. Like I really I wouldn't have even done this tonight. I would have come up with some stupid excuse to just like sit here and vegetate, and then wake up angry. Like, why didn't I just go to that event? Why didn't I just go attend that space? Why? I don't know what it was. I was just like really depressed, but it happens.
No, I mean, dude, well, first, I really appreciate you coming on tonight, dude. This stream has been amazing.
I'm honored. Always a pleasure.
And, I can, that resonates with me, because there's times where I just take the day off. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like you saying, like it almost feels like, in a way, once you start getting into this as a content creator, you have to feed the machine. You have to make the latest clip and do all this. But there's some days like that I'm just, let me hang out with the kids and go to the pool today, man. I ain't even worried about any of this shit. Like, let me just not not have to worry about impressions and all of this. But and I think what was holding me back from doing this YouTube thing is I knew it was going to be a commitment. I knew, because when I'm jumping in, I'm like, this is going to be a commitment where I'm going to like this stuff. Like I'm going to like going live. I'm going to like having these guests on and having these great conversations, and getting nervous about my channel and trying to navigate through this and really explore how to grow it and stuff like that. And it is sort of like it's more than just like you making content. It's a commitment, because you take on the brand, and you take on the persona, and you take on the pressure almost a lot of the times. And so that, there's not a lot of conversation about like how to deal with navigating through this, because a lot of it is, you get a lot of trolling, and you get a lot of, but like once you get involved in this community, bro, like you've seen it, it's crazy. It's wild.
It gets really beat.
And look, I do spaces. Think about doing spaces for the last 4 years. Basically, I've been doing spaces for the last 4 years, every single week.
That's insane.
So I know everything about what's going on in the community, whether I like it or not.
Right.
I know everything. I know literally everything that's going on in the community. I'm too deep in the trenches.
You're buried at this point.
But I think like you have to, in a way, get acquainted, like get into that,
Yeah,
but also be able to separate it, and to be like, all right, let me take a couple days off, or like let me like reboot the system, and to like get me realigned and shit like that.
Oh God!
So you got to do that,
man. I had to do it. I had to, and it's like, I was on fire and was doing really good, and I did not care. And that's what I realized. That's a good thing, actually, because it's like I decided that no matter how well the content was doing, like my mental and physical health comes way before that. My family, all of that, like life. Like you can get sucked into this, and this becomes like its own contained world. And I'm like, if I wake up now, what I'm doing, right, is like I was really under a lot of pressure. I'm like, okay, wake up at 9, need to post while I'm getting ready for work. But now I'm just like, no, wake up, get ready, look around a little bit, think a little bit, really make it worth it. Luckily today we had the file drop, so that helps. But when there's like nothing going on sometimes, like on like a dead news day, that's where I'm not pressuring myself anymore. I'm like, no. I don't need to post at 10 a.m. on the dot. I don't need to post at 9 a.m. I need to post when it's time to post, when I find something to post, and forget the algorithm, the analytics, whatever. If people like you and people appreciate what you're doing, they will hit the button, whether it's at 11, whether it's at noon. And I've really learned that. And I just feel so much better. Like, I took the pressure off of myself and was like, hold on a second. I'm getting way too bogged down in the machine. Like you said, like feeding the machine. It's like, no, I need to be the machine that people come to. And it's also not easy. Like, you're doing this channel. It's not always easy doing videos when it's by yourself, right? Like, it doesn't flow the same way. And that can be a little nerve-wracking sometimes. I can't tell you, people don't know this, but like when I record and go on camera, I can't tell you how many times I restart. Every time. I always, there's almost every single time I'll be talking and I'm just like, no. And, and just delete it. Like, can I just restart, or like, if I have a script. So what I'm trying to do now is, instead, if it's a long form video, there's a script, there's a voiceover and everything. But if it's me on camera, instead of reading a script on camera, I put up notes on camera, and I'm just like, you know what? Let me get acquainted with the information to the point that I can do what I'm doing right now and just be me. And it's just so much easier. And so, and it's more human at that point. It's genuine. It has a lot
you're
more
like
at that point.
You're like free flowing, but also going by, you're keeping to, I like that. I think that's a good presentation. All right, let's round out with a couple of clips that I think you've shared. So I want to get let's do like a quick popcorn round before we end it up here. And let me see. All right, Eric Davis, this one about the 4 races. We got to watch this.
Yeah, for sure.
So they hear me say these things on podcast or at these big forums. Oh my God, he's revealing classified information. Why isn't he getting arrested and charged and going to prison and all that stuff? And it's because I've been trained on the process. I know what the criteria and the guardrails are. So I know what I can say. I can say to you guys that there are a minimum of 4 different alien species, and they are known from the public domain and in the classified world. The credibility of that ranges on the spectrum from no credibility to high credibility. The high credibility is the classified part. And in the high credibility, not on the far end of it, but there are credible witnesses who have been corroborated by multiple other witnesses or had other means of corroborating their account of an encounter with one of these 4 species. So there's some high credibility for witness accounts, and there's medium, low, and none. And there's a minimum of 4.
Wow. All right. So my question, quick draw question. What the first initial thoughts on that, and go ahead and rank those. What do you think? Because we're talking about the Greys, we're talking about reptilians, we're talking about mantids, and we're talking about Nordics. So on a scale, I feel like those are what the 4 we're talking about.
Well, it sounds like what he's actually really saying, because he just the way he talks, he zip, 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 zip. He's a brilliant guy, honestly. He's very, very, very intelligent. He is saying that all 4 of those exist, but there's a range as far as the information about them. There's a range as far as what's credible and what's not. They all, like he said, all 4 exist, and there's information in the public sphere that maybe some people latch on to about them, that isn't necessarily like the best. And then when you get into the classified area, that's when it's like, okay, this is what we really know about it. I know, obviously, if we're going to rank the beings, the Greys are at the top, and then at the bottom are the reptilians. Like, if that's what we're doing, right? But he's saying that all of them exist. But to me, like, I always think of like the Greys, the Nordics, and the Mantids. Like, the Mantids are like my reptilians, sort of insect, or as Dr. David Jacobs he called them insectilins. But as far as like straight reptiles, like, I don't know about that. The Greys, though, they're real. The Greys are definitely real, in my opinion, like based on all of my research. And I don't know, I feel like there was a better way for him to kind of phrase what he was trying to say. Like, I think what he was really saying was like, they're all real, but what's known and believed about them, it varies on what is legitimate in the public sphere, right? Like, it's like, you could say a million things about each one of them, but it's almost like we know more in the public sphere about the Greys than we really do about some of the other ones. But in the classified world, they know everything that we think we know and more. It was weird the way that he sort of like spit that out, but that's what I got out of it, at least. And I might be wrong. Like, I might have completely misunderstood him because he was flying.
Yeah, I think the credibility into it just would be interesting to see how he would determine the credibility of each species. Like,
yes,
how would you determine that? Like, based off of what? What evidence are you basing? Are you basing this off of experience or testimony?
That's a big part.
Government interaction, because now we're talking about beings. We're talking about the interaction that you're considering credible. When we're talking about these different beings that are interacting, like, how would you determine what being would be more credible than the other? Would it be the amount of times that they're interacting? That's what I think of as like how the credibility scale would work for someone, because they have to be getting these accounts, but how would they be classifying them as more credible than others?
All the
data,
about
reptilians, yeah.
All the data that they've collected over the years, right? They have a database that we don't have. And then it's like, oh, in Indochina, back in like the beginning of World War II, there was this account from this farmer, and they described this being, and it had an insignia on its outfit. This is pre-internet. And then 10 years later, there's this person in Argentina sees the same thing, never had contact with anybody in China, right? Like, I think that's part of it, is that they've been able to parse through a giant amount of information. And with AI now too, it probably helps. They're able to find these patterns. It's just how we would, like, even you and I might investigate something. It's like, oh, somebody described a very specific craft morphology, and it's like really weird. Maybe it's something that we aren't used to seeing. And then you find out that someone 100 miles away reported the same exact thing, and they have absolutely no connection with this other person. That, you know what I mean? Like that type of thing. Yeah. Corroborating evidence where there's big distance and just all these degrees of separation between the witnesses, where they couldn't have possibly communicated and told each other about it. That type of thing. Like how the world has all these pyramids and all these different cultures, right? Like, that's weird. Like that type of thing.
Speaking of, last clip of today is one that you shared as well. Let's take a look at this Lou Elizondo clip with the moon stuff. Want to get your thoughts
to be on the lunar surface. There's also photographs that I don't believe have been made public yet that show on the lunar surface what appear to be large monolithic structures with right angle cuts that appear to be on the lunar surface. And I believe those photographs, if they have not been released yet, may be released soon. But they are certainly very intriguing looking at these objects from space.
He has certainly thinned out, by the way. He had that accident too. He almost died.
Yeah.
A bad motorcycle accident. I know Lou is a polarizing figure at this point. I want to interview him because I want to give him an opportunity to kind of like clear the air on the things that are bothering people. It feels like he hasn't really tried to step out and squash that stuff enough. And maybe that was a personal decision. Maybe he felt like he did enough and people didn't listen. I don't know. I've always wanted to talk to him about that. The moon. I've always argued people. I tell people this all the time. The moon hoax conspiracy was a really good distraction from what they really didn't want people asking. And it's what did they find on the moon? If you believe we never went to the moon, you're not going to question what's on it. Guys like Richard Hoagland that have done enormous amounts of research into anomalies on the moon and Mars. I've seen some really weird photographs. I've seen things, there's like the one where it's just this straight vertical pillar. The quality isn't great. It's very, very old. It's from one of the first roundabouts I think we ever did of the moon with anything. So the quality wasn't that great. And it's whatever it was like huge. I mean, it was like, it would have been taller than like the Burj Khalifa, whatever it was. And I've always suspected that we would probably find something on the moon that would make people not only question the presence around us, but possibly even question history. Like my dad's always theorized, he's talked about this many times, that he thinks that it's very possible that like what we're doing right now, like we might have already gotten up to a similar point before, and then something wiped us out and it was reset. And it's like, well, how's that possible? We don't find things. Well, no, we do find things. We find a lot of artifacts that are called, like out of time artifacts, things that don't make sense for like the layer of sediment that they're found in, the age. It's like, how is this so old, but it wasn't developed until years later? There's a lot of that, we're missing a lot of pieces to history. And I think the moon may potentially hold some interesting clues as far as that is concerned. I don't think Lou's bullshitting here. I really don't. Say what you want about him, but
yeah,
I think what he's saying is absolutely credible. There's, how many? I mean, think about how old the solar system is. Maybe there was a reconnaissance mission by another species at some point that came through here, maybe even before we were here, and they set up base on the moon. We're checking things out. And then they left, and they left some stuff behind. That's pretty cool. That's cosmic archaeology, man. That's like a whole new branch of science that could be opening up. That's like awesome. Imagine that. I'm a cosmic archaeologist.
I mean, we talked about earlier too, the NASA stuff. I mean, Artemis just went around the moon.
Yeah.
You would figure that the moon's been mapped, at least, the structures around it. They're trying to name craters. So for this, and this is something that we Desmo was in here earlier, but we get at him a little bit about is, brushing out images.
That's
News Nation did an article about that as well.
Yes, I just posted that old clip of that woman talking about it. I always forget her name too. Like, you guys know what I'm talking about though. She had a pretty good clearance and was like, wait a second, there's something above me. And she's like, what is this all about? And she's not the only one. There have been other people that have spoken about airbrushing things out. And I mean, my God, those interviews, like, they were on the internet when I was like in high school, man. Like, that stuff has been around for a very, very long time. And it's not shocking to me at all. And it's like, what makes more sense? That they were worried about how people were going to react to it, so they hid it, or all of these people, they're just all lying. And it's like, the people I'm talking about, they've never released books. They haven't been going on podcasts. There's like a couple instances of them speaking about this, and then like they disappear. Like, they're all of them are lying. What makes the most sense, right? And like I just said in the chat, the satellite images of like Cydonia on Mars, very specifically, like those are pyramids. Like all you got to do is compare that to ours down here, and then make them really, really old and degrade them a bit. And it's like, oh my God, what is that? It's just not natural. I've seen so many anomalies on Mars from multiple missions. It's just, we have a lot that we don't know. And I think we're going to eventually, get to a situation where we're going to start learning about some of it. I highly, highly, highly suspect that Lou is accurate on this, not just about the moon, other places in the solar system. And it's like, well, how would any of us even know? We're not the ones sending these things up there. NASA is. NASA controls that, right? And NASA is considered, in a lot of ways being kind of like an arm of the military and the government for, certain intents and purposes. So, the order comes down like, hey, can't make that public. But then if you don't think we went to the moon, you don't look at any of that. There's people who think space doesn't exist. That's all such a good distraction to not ask the questions that I think we should be asking. It's like, well, what did they find out there that they didn't want us to hear about? And don't forget, Buzz Aldrin mentioned monoliths, in space on friggin' C-SPAN like 20-some years ago,
He did.
That exact word. Monolith. Like the same word. That's eerie.
Yep. All right. I got one more question for you, and I want to bring in, because this is actually something that I really like. Dude, I don't think people appreciate how much of a sleuth a UFO. Yeah, like I respect the UFO sleuths, the people who get down and get the research and get the goods, of bringing it out. So I like this initiative that you're doing, this 4 random photos a day. Can you kind of talk about this? Because I really like this.
So I have a giant archive of files that I've collected over the years of just being on random websites and being like, oh, damn, that's a great photo. And even video clips too. Gig upon gig. I don't even know how much I have. And even PDFs, documents, files, books that I may or may not have obtained legally, and as archive, like, that type of thing, like, you find your way around. And I don't know. It just dawned on me. I'm like, these are really cool. And there's a lot that I'm like, I have never seen anyone post these. Like, right. So I'm like, I'm going to post them, and I'm trying to do it in such a way that there's like a certain level of variety too. And they come from all different places on the internet, different archives, Reddit, like personal websites. There's going to be a few that I'm going to do that have specifically come to me from emails that I've gotten from some people. There's a few that are like that too, because they're unique. And and again, I am also open to the idea that some of these may not necessarily be alien or a UFO. It could, I always recognize that something could potentially be debunked, and that's cool. Like, that's part of the job of being a ufologist. Like, it's going to happen. I've posted things before that later got debunked, and then I quote it, and I'm like, okay, this is what this actually was. That's just part of it. That's what we do. It's the nature of it. But yeah, I don't know. It was just something to kind of tickle the algorithm's fancy a little bit. It's like, well, what can I post every single day without fail for the next however long? And I'm like, I have a lot of pictures. I was like, I just thought it might be something cool to do. I see some other people do things like that sometimes, where it's like, maybe it's 4 random pictures that like the Hubble telescope took, or like 4 random beautiful photographs from around the web. But it's our neck of the woods. It's UFOs. So I thought it was a cool thing to do, and it just randomly popped into my head when I was at work. And I'm like, yeah, let's go for it. It was just because I could keep it going for a while, because I have a lot.
That's awesome. No, and it's just acquiring.
That.
Yeah, no, dude, just acquiring that. And, you hear about these, and I think you even at one point worked on Stephen Greer's like hard drive of
Well, I
like
was going
all
to.
of this evidence. Yeah, or like something like it.
We were going to be hired for that when we had our meeting with him, but the amount of work that he wanted Digby and I to do for nothing, for the chance to beg him to be on our podcast, I was like, man, this is disrespectful. I was like, forget it. Like, I turned it down. You know, I just wanted to. I thought it'd be cool to have access to some of that stuff. We were potentially going to get access to his Dead Man Switch and everything, but you know, who knows? Greer's done a lot of good, but I feel like he's lost his way in a lot of regards, and I've been pretty open and public about that. And I mean, he lied to us. He lied straight to our faces in the middle of the meeting. He lied about where he was. It's like, come on, man. If you're gonna lie about something stupid like that, you know, like he forgot to turn his camera off. He's like, oh, I'm about to go to this meeting. And he's like laying on the beach. I have the footage. I can't post it because I signed an NDA. That is the truth. Like, we really did have to sign NDAs. They're still in my email. Like,
just to meet with him.
That. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yes. Just have a Zoom call with him. Yes.
That's
but
crazy.
I'm not. I don't let any. I don't care how famous someone is. Like, he's a person to me. Like, he's a person that a bunch of other people know. And I stood my ground. He wanted to. We were going to have to start going back through like our episodes and delete some of them because there were guests on that had narratives counter to his truth and stuff. And I was just like, man, that's not fair.
That's
I have
crazy.
to edit my content just to have you on. It's like, either you want to come on or not, dude, you know? And we had to like, we actually had to pretend. We told him that we had like, you know, like 100,000 subscribers. He didn't even check. He wouldn't even meet with us unless like we met certain requirements. So we just bullshitted him and we're like, yeah. And then he was like, are you guys former military intelligence? It's like, dude, do you know who you're talking to right now?
Jeez.
I'm some dude from New Jersey. God damn, it's like, it doesn't get more random than that.
Are you ready to whistleblow for me?
It's like it was an interesting experience, and I wanted to do something helpful, but it's like if it felt like we were begging, and I'm like, nah, man, I wouldn't put somebody through that. So so we decided this like
dude, you see
his manager is cool. The Raven, his like secretary, she's a wonderful person. I want to say that.
Yeah,
like, she is such a nice lady. Yeah, she's great.
I mean, you see it a lot, honestly, when I could totally relate to coming into the UFO field, being passionate and wanting to contribute some way, right? Like, I'm a creative, I'm motivated, I'm ready to come in, and just not getting, you know, like coming in, like actually getting an opportunity and being like, oh, this shit wasn't what I thought it was. Like, this is totally different than what I thought it was, dude.
And not everybody's like that, you know, and I get he's a busy dude. Like, I tried to, you know, find some middle ground in certain areas, but I'm like, no, we're not deleting interviews. We worked on those.
Right.
That's
on your
all
channel.
work.
That's crazy. Yeah.
What, just to turn this into the Stephen Greer channel? Like, no, you have your own channel. Welcome to ours. Either you want to come on or you don't, you know?
Right.
I don't care how famous you are. I really don't. I don't care how well known you are. I care about if we're going to have a good conversation and if we're going to be friends. That's it. And nothing else should really matter.
Honestly, bro, like, that's one of the things behind my channel is I'm not trying to have like the name of the names here. I want to just have conversations with people that I pay attention to, that I like their research, I like their content, to bring them on and just have a conversation, show their work a little bit more to the community. Because I think, you know, you have this, it's like, you know, this tier of people who everybody wants to have on podcasts, you know, like everybody wants to have this guest on. But to me, there's people who are on the grind right now, and a lot of people who I pay attention to that don't get a lot of notoriety within the research, that sort of get their research, you know, they sort of get their research stolen, co-opted.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. And it's, you know, it's frustrating to see that, and not that you know, see these guys grinding out, because I've been there, you know, I've been on that side of it to, you know, have the clip that I do, you know, taken and shared by somebody who's got 300,000 followers or 1 million followers, and you know, taking all that. but you know, in a way it's flattering, but it shows you that
Yeah.
just like there's a game there. There's like this content game and shit, and I think you know about that. But all right, I want to close this out in the last like 6 minutes. I love everybody. Thank you everybody for commenting. It's been a fantastic stream. Tom, I want to give you the opportunity just to like talk about your work, your YouTube channel, everything that you're working on, and then we'll close it up.
Sweet, man. And I appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for having me. This is great. You know, I love going on shows and just being able to have just good chats with people about this stuff. You know, it's stimulating. And now that I'm feeling a lot better, I'm working on a long form video that people will figure out what it is when it gets out, because I'm not even going to put anything out about it until it's done and be like, hey, this is it. This is what I was working on. And then hopefully we'll be able to finish finally the Eyes of the Infiltrators Part 2. Through doing that work, I've come across things that I didn't know about that were like kind of startling, even as far as like abduction evidence and things that I was just like, wow, that's really like, oh wow. That's always the goal, is trying to like bring people things that they're not good. It's like, you know, like when I make the posts on X, you know, you can find those news stories a lot of times on like 20 million other accounts, right? But when it's big news, I want to post it and be like, hey, I see it, I notice it. But I'm always really trying to just like give people something that it's like, you came here because I'm the one who posted it. You know, you came to me for my ideas, and I want to definitely, there's a little sort of like mini thing I want to do. I don't know how long the video will end up being, but when I did my space for UFO Twitter Week, I had made sort of like a comparison about how I think consciousness works, and I was talking about a router and your devices in your house, and I'm like, that's a video. Right? Like, I'm just like, that's I could just make a video about that. So I'm going to branch out a little bit, right? And start bringing more of like the consciousness stuff into it. Like, there's a lot of really good evidence out there. Like, I've been digging through like Dean Radin's material, and I'm also, he's amazing. And while I'm on vacation, I'm going to be doing some very specific CE5 experiments, because I really want to go outside of just content. I want to see things happen. I want to try to, like, you know, make these things start manifesting. It's like they've already done that on their own in my life. So I'm like, okay, let's wave back and let's see what happens. So if anything happens, hopefully I'll catch some of it. The YouTube channel, all I got to do is search Cortex Zero, which is at Cortex Zero on YouTube. And it's, you know, it's very easy to find. I'm going to start putting up just whatever I feel like on a weekly basis to the best of my ability, you know, even if it's something 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. Just, I have some shorts that I'm working on so that I can, because people like those, and I have some cool ones. I'm actually, the first one I'm going to do is actually about like like when you hear the term metamaterial, it's like, I don't think people always realize what that really could mean, as far as, okay, if you have the ability to go down and really control the arrangement of atoms and then build something up, it's like, no, you could make like a piece of metal that acts like Jello. Like, there's like, it's like, I want to like make these things cool, right? It's like, it's complicated to some people, but how can I present it in a way that's like super interesting? It's like, no, it's not just atoms and these words. It's like, this is what it could do.
Complex ideas, to be able to understand them within the UFO topic, because I think people, you know, they get interested in the topic and then they want to dive into these rabbit holes, but to understand these complex ideas, I think you do a great job of being able to explain highly complex ideas with people through words and visual. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate that. You know, it's funny about that. ChatGPT's update, my friend Zio, he he ran like a scrape on my profile, and it was like, tell me about Tom. Cortex Zero, here's this link. And one of the things that it said was like, you're able to translate ideas for people, like, and I was just like, damn, man, thanks AI, like, and thank you, dude. I appreciate that, because I see these things a certain way, like in my head, and I understand them, and I'm blessed for that, to have that. And I'm like, I don't think everybody always sees it like the way that I do. And I'm like, but I think I can show them, like, through these different avenues, like artistically. It's like, imagine a ball made out of metal, but it's also like Jello. Like, I know it sounds funny.
Yeah,
but it's like, that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about mastery over matter. Like, you hear the word metamaterial, you hear, a construction by way of atom arrangement, and it's like, to some people, they hear that and they're like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about. This is crazy. This is like too much, or it's even boring to some degree, like when you get really deep with it. But if I can turn it into a video where I'm like, no, listen, if you control these things, you can make a weapon that does this, or you can create a vehicle that can do this. It's like, oh, now I get it. And all of a sudden, that really crazy, complex scientific thing becomes interesting. And I enjoy that. Like, it's like, I feel like I'm the translator, right? It's like, I'm taking these wacky, crazy ideas, like black hole sentience and all these weird things that I've only recently learned about. And I'm like, I think I can present this to people in a way that's informative, but it's also entertaining. And it's just, it's going to take some work to put those things together, because I'm very particular about how I want things to look. But I'm just going to do it. Just going to trudge away, and I'm back, baby. That's it. I'm here to stay, and I feel better. And I am so happy to anytime. I always say this. I am always so grateful to get invited onto anybody's show, man. That's like, I'm so privileged and so humbled by that. And you've been such a good friend, man. So thank you for having me. This is such a good conversation. Really enjoyed it.
Love it. And I'm going to convince Tom. I'm predicting right here. I'm going to convince Tom to be a stay of a co-host. So Tom has a permanent co-host position, here.
I'm not going to say no to that.
No, of course. And so
whenever you need me, man.
I've been grinding hard at the YouTube for the last month. So appreciate everybody's support. But I really want to highlight people's work, and I think Tom was one of the first. Dude, you were one of the first people that I wanted to bring on the channel and have a conversation with, because you've been so, just so creative, so good, so supportive of everything that we've been doing. So cool. So it's all love. Really appreciate everybody. Love the stream. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to close it up right now. Tom, where can we find more of your work? Let's get what you're working on.
Very active on X on the daily at Cortex_Zero. I think they're going to let me change that eventually, but I should probably leave it alone at this point. And then just youtube.com/@Cortex0 there. There's been a few videos that I've done on X where I just uploaded them to X, and I'm going to start uploading them onto YouTube. And then Digby and I have Anomalous, but he's I told you what he's busy with. I can't really say it on the show right now, but he may be able to do some of that with me. But for the time being, the main hubs are YouTube, Cortex Zero, and then of course X, Cortex Zero. I have Instagram, I have TikTok. I don't have time for all these social medias, man. Dude, just YouTube and X, and that's for now. That'll work, right? Like that'll get the job done for now. But if you search my name, Cortex Zero, you'll find me all over the damn place. But I am most active on X and on YouTube, especially X though. My DMs are always open if anybody ever wants to have a chat. I'm not always great at getting to all the DMs just because there's so many of them and I get a little bogged down, but I do my best to try to answer as many people as I can. I never thought I would, get this far. I didn't know it was going to happen. And, you get really busy as a result of it. And believe it or not, I'm kind of shy sometimes, man. Like somebody messages me for the very first time. I get shimmies a little bit, where I'm just like, shit, how you doing? You know, like, I'm a little shy. I am. I try not to show it, but I really am. But dude, anytime you want me back, man, anytime you need help, anything at all, you have my number, you have me on DMs. We talk all the time anyways, but I'm always down. I don't care how big of a task it is. I don't care how small it is. It doesn't matter. You are one of the closest people to me. You are the next closest person really next to Digby. Really, you really are. And you have been. You were supportive of me from the very, very beginning. And I mean, you and I are distant best friends, man. You're a good guy. And I just feel so blessed to have you in my life as a friend. You've done a lot of good things for me, and I hope I can pay that forward to you and other people. And it's just a great conversation tonight, dude. I feel like I really needed this, and I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it deeply, very deeply.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, I love having you on, man. Welcome back anytime. I'm going to convince you to do it very back soon.
You got it, man.
You know, yeah. I think, you know, I enjoy everything that we talk about. I love your perspective, man. Everybody check out Tom's channel, YouTube, check out his X page. I'm going to post the links down to, we're definitely going to do this soon again. Thank you, everybody, for coming in the chat. You know, Whistling Mike, Arden, Solemn Woodall. Thank you, man, for coming by. Desmo, you know, really appreciate everybody for coming by in the chat. Marky Point, saw you coming by, man. Thanks everybody for coming by, making a comment. More live streams coming up. Have a great night, guys. Peace.
Take care, everybody.
Interstate 51, moonroof back, let's ride. Stars in my eyes and the whole squad high. Light in the sky, yeah, we all saw that. Interstate 51, ain't no coming back. Interstate 51, bass too loud. Windows down and we floating through clouds. Interstate 51, all night long. If they listening out there, put the song on. Friday night, in the tank on full. Whole crew deep, and the vibe so good. Moon hanging low, and the air so cold. Big 808 make the dashboard fold. Saw a white light way out by the trees. Stop on a dime, then the dip with ease. Nobody spoke, everybody smile. Like we all turn back into little keys. Hands out the window, stars on blast. Living right now, don't care about the past.